How we doing, guys? DG Trading 101 back here with another audio blog for you guys. So today I'm going to audio blog a post from about 10 months ago. It's called My Year or Two in Review, Critical Lessons and 2017 Goals. So I wrote this post obviously at the end of 2016, so read it with that in mind. This is a former version of myself reading to you from that time. So, but most of the information here is still totally relevant and everything that I believe to this day. So it's a good post. I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, so I'm calling this a year or two in review. That's really what it is. It's kind of like 2 years combined into one. There were two real defining moments for me on my trading journey, and both of them came in 2015, actually. I mean, I couldn't realize them to be defining moments at the time or write about them then because this stuff doesn't make light of itself until the dust settles, you know, but they definitely were defining moments. So we'll start in May of 2015 when I was the greatest trader alive, obviously, right? I had been in IU since 2014. You know, I blew up a couple small accounts prior to that. And I really started to see some real success in early 2015, as I've mentioned before. And I wasn't using huge size. I was just racking up nice, consistent days, you know, but I wanted more. And like seemingly every single struggling trader that I talked to these days, I was trying to hit the fast forward button. You know, I was going to be a millionaire any day now. And, you know, all you have to do is follow your rules and trading is easy, right? Any day now. So I had started to make a little money around this time. I want to say I had about $40,000 in total trading capital right now. And I opened up a new $5,000 short trader account that I decided that I was going to use strictly to press the issue, quote unquote, you know, to try and use some size on the small cap names. You know, I felt I was ready to do this at the time. Obviously, I was completely wrong, but that was just the place I was in mentally at the time. I was still very naive. So the very first day I opened the account was when PTBI was running. I don't know if you remember that one. Like I said, this is in 2015. PTBI was running, so I kind of just said, screw it. You know, I channeled my inner Elkwood, and I used every ounce of buying power that they would allow me to use. And I bought $29,700 worth of PTBI long right out of the gate at 9:30. You know, really no idea what I'm doing. And it ended up running a buck or two that day. And I literally doubled my $5,000 account in like a matter of hours. In like 2-3 hours, I doubled the account. I still have the screenshot. If you go to the actual blog, I have it posted on there. You can see the screenshot of it. I was still trading with the Short Trader web platform, you know, which kind of makes me cringe now, but I was. You can even see the time and sales fills on there. You know, I wasn't even scaling yet at this point. Just, yep, you know, one giant entry sounds good. I'll just go all in right now and worry about what happens later was kind of what I did. And I ended up doing that a couple times that morning. You know, so long story short, I figured this was it. You know, all I had to do was grow some balls and size up, and I was golden. That was it. I was on my way. I was ready. You know, so golden is another word for idiotic, delusional, greedy pig. Yeah, then I was golden, all right. So now overnight, I've doubled this trading account from $5,000 to $10,000, and the very next day, I went right back to the same idea. And I tried the exact same thing. You know, I tried the long PTBI right out of the gate. But this time I had $10,000 worth of bullets. So I could do twice as much, right? That was just wonderful. So you can probably imagine what happened from here. PTBI ended up selling off the entire session. You know, so then I added some more. And then I added some more. Sold for a giant loss. Rebought it. Did it again, added again, lost a ton more. And then before I knew it, by the end of the day, I literally gave it all back. And I don't just mean the $5,000 from the day before. I mean the entire account. I blew the entire account up. I blew $10,000 up in a day. This was the very last blow up that I ever went through. But it was a pretty serious one. For me, at least at the time. This was the last account that I ever blew up. After this, I really sat down and did some thinking. But yeah, this account went from, on May 5th, 2015, it was $5,000. On May 6th, it was $9,791, just shy of $10,000. And on May 7th, it was $387 is what I had left in the account. I blew the entire thing up. Patted myself on the back for that one. This is just how stupid I was, though. And at the time, if you asked me, I would have told you I was a great experienced trader. That's how blind we can really become in the infancy of our journey. We don't realize just how little we know. And this is usually the thing that ends up biting us all in the ass eventually. Sooner or later, it's going to come to you, especially if you experience some success, or if you're lucky enough to have some success early on. This is when it gets the worst. You don't realize just how little you know. So this was a big eye-opener for me. And after this, I really did some soul-searching and some thinking. So I'm not sure if I'm alone here or not, but I'll throw it out there anyway. I had this general, I guess we'll call it like a danger meter in my head when managing a position. Like, say I was in a trade and a loss went from, like, I was down 200 to now I'm down like 400 or 500. That would be cause for concern. That would get me very concerned. But once a loss got past a certain point, I just didn't care anymore. Well, I don't know if didn't care is the right description, but like a switch flipped in my head and I got a lot looser, with my risk management. And I was more in denial and pray mode rather than risk management mode. Yeah, does that make sense? Like a small red number going to minus 400, minus 500 bothered me a lot. But say it ballooned to like minus 1,000, then I would see minus 1,100, minus 1,300, minus 1,400. And up there, those numbers, it was kind of all the same to me at that point, in my head. It didn't really concern me as much anymore because all I was thinking about was, when is this going to come back down? That's sort of the deer in the headlights moment. This is what ruins us. This is what's, what attributed to every single one of my blowups. This is why until you are more disciplined, you need to set max loss numbers. You can set it, you can actually set it manually with your broker that when you hit a particular unrealized loss, your position will be automatically liquidated. You can do that with some brokers. And if you can't do that, this is why you have to be using hard stops always. This is what prevents blowups, having these things in place. You will always think that you have more control than you do, and you will always think that you're stronger than you are, right? You'll always have faith in yourself that should you get put in this sticky situation, that you will do the right thing. But as I'm sure some of you have experienced by now, chances are you won't do the right thing. Not in the beginning, at least, when you're still learning. So try taking the decision out of your hands sometimes. Again, use at absolute minimum hard stops. But I really recommend looking into if your broker offers the max loss feature, where if you hit a certain unrealized loss, they'll automatically liquidate it for you and lock your account for the day. Some places do have that. So if you have discipline issues, I would look into that. I didn't even know these options existed until much later in my trading journey. I didn't have any of this. That's probably why I blew up so many accounts. But anyway, turning point lesson number 1. There's 2 main points of this blog. Turning point lesson number 1 from this blow up that I had was don't try to hit the fast forward button because of all the big money you see floating around Twitter. Just don't do it. You have to pay your dues. I know I sound like a broken record and you hear this stuff all the time, but there's a reason for it, okay? I promise you. Whatever you have to do, but just understand that there is no fast forward button in this game. End of discussion. I don't care how good you think you are. You're not special. I promise you. Okay. The fast forward button does not exist. Okay, so that's point number one. This was a big moment for me. After I blew this short trader account up, I went back. I was trading it with IB at the time. So I went back to my IB account that I had worked, pretty hard to build up that 40K over the prior year. And I kind of had my tail between my legs a little bit, but I was proud of myself in a sense that I knew that I shouldn't try to play those sizing up games with my main account. I kind of mitigated the risk by opening the $5,000 short trader account where, absolute worst case scenario here is I lose the $5,000 and that's that. But, that was a lot better than taking on that risk in my main account, and risking an absolutely crippling loss. Because who knows with that PTBI on the day that I blew that account up, I was so mad. I probably would have kept trying it if I had more money. The only thing that stopped me from trading it was that I ran out of money, literally. How sad is that? But it's true. I would see horror stories of guys posting these huge losses and just think, like, what the hell? Like, how does that even happen? How can you be so stupid? Right? I was better than that. That would never happen to me. Right? That was my mentality. But guess what? Funny story. It happened. So let's fast forward a couple months. I had mentally recovered from the PTBI debacle. And, I had lesson number one well in hand. I knew that there was no fast forward button for me. I wasn't looking for that anymore. And I kind of went right back to business as usual. I was trading within my means and racking up nice, unassuming green days. June, July, August, September of 2015 were all nice, profitable months for me. Okay, and then came October of 2015. Oh boy, you're going to like this one. So I only need one word to describe this trade, and that would be Oprah. God, I hate Oprah. In the middle of October, Weight Watchers, WTW, gapped up 100%. It gapped up from 6 to 12. And everybody was laughing. It was jokes all around, about what an easy short this was about to be. They're a complete joke of a company. Yeah, it turned out to be a joke, all right. Except the joke was on me. I was short on day one with a mid-12s average, and I ended up covering 2 days later in the 19s. I lost about $7 a share on this trade. I did the one thing that I swore I would never do. I took a massive account crippling loss. I was devastated. That really brought me into turning point lesson number 2 here, which is the second your trade thesis is invalidated, you run. No questions asked. It's fine to add to a loser in the right context, but that better have been, in the cards and part of the plan well ahead of time and done in a very controlled manner, or else, you're going to be in big trouble. I'll talk about the WTW trade in a second, but, if that's not the case and this isn't a very pre-planned thing, man, you're doing a really, really bad thing. I did not do that, not even close. My plan was Weight Watchers, seriously. This was big in like 1999. This thing just gapped up 100%. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like I'll just wait this out. It'll work. Great plan, buddy. Cliche comment, number 1 million of this post. If you don't have a set plan for every single parabolic short play, most importantly, but really any play at all for that matter, you're done. If you've avoided trouble thus far, just wait. It's right around the corner and it's coming for you. You can run, but you can't hide. The market humbles all who fail to adequately prepare, and it makes zero exceptions. So the WTW trade, after the market opened, I already was short pre-market in the 12s. And after the market, right when the market opened, the thing ripped from like 12 to 14 in like 2 minutes. That should have been red flag number 1, how thin it was trading and how quickly it was moving. But I ignored that. Almost instantly, it was up to $14 and it didn't come back down. I was immediately underwater. and I should have known something was up then. The fact that it didn't come back, sometimes things rip right out of the gate and then they fail and they come back down. That's what I was, waiting for, and that just never happened. I didn't come back down. So right here at this point, my plan has been invalidated. This was not part of the plan. I was okay. I said, all right, maybe I'll get short here and it might rip a little bit out of the gate and then it'll fail and come back down. That didn't happen. It ripped and it did not come back down. At that very point in time, my trade thesis is invalidated. I should have ran right there and ate the $2 a share loss. It would have sucked, but it was absolutely nothing compared to, what I ended up doing to myself. The stock went up essentially $10 a share over the next few days with very little breathing room to get out at all. So stupid me, I stuck around all day that first day and got grinded on higher and higher and higher. It went 14, 15. First of all, at the end of the day, we're like literally pinning on the highs. So that's red flag number 500 of this trade, just how stupid I really was. At the end of the day, we're still pinning on highs. And at this point, I again should have ate the trade. But, what do? What do I decide to do? Add. I double my size at the end of the day, hoping, this is going to end up working out the next day. So much stupidity in one trade, I can't even, it drives me sick to this day. And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Remember how I talked about after a certain point in your loss, you just kind of go into denial and pray mode. I was down so much money at this point that I just didn't care anymore. All I was thinking about is, all right, how do I get myself out of this? So I doubled my size and hoped it would fail the next day. And, and it did anything but that. Basically, we had a replay of the prior day where it just ripped again right out of the gate and just started grinding again all day. And I just put myself in a whole world of trouble. So again, the end game there is I ended up covering 2 days later in the 19s with double the size that I was ever comfortable with trading. And I lost about $7 a share on good size. And I'm not even going to say the number because it gives me chills to this day. But fortunately, it was not a 6-figure loss, but it was a multi 5-figure big loss. It was crippling to me at the time. It was about 60% of my total trading capital at that time that I had built up over the entire year. So, just like that, just like poof, as soon as you can snap your fingers, it was all gone. It was a very, very, very humbling moment. That was one of the hardest days of my life, to sit there and soak up, what just happened, and to realize what I had just erased, all my hard work over the last year, just all gone in one brief lapse in judgment. It really is that quick and that easy to do. No matter how prepared you think you are or how prepared you think you were for it, your ego still takes over. You're making the mistake and you make it anyway. It doesn't really register in your head right away. There's sort of a denial phase first, like I was just talking about. And it really registered for me the next morning when I opened my account and saw my equity number just annihilated. That's when it hit me. I believe the quote goes, experience is something you do not get until just after you need it. And, that's the unfortunate but necessary truth. Don't ever think that you're a failure because you did one of the dumbest things imaginable in trading. It's almost a rite of passage. We all do it. We've all been there. We all have that insane loss that you look back on and you're like, how is that even possible? How did I get myself in that situation? Sometimes it just happens. But it's not a setback. What it should be is it should be a springboard to the next stepping stone, if you harness it correctly. It's so important not to let that big loss go to waste. You have to use it to better yourself. That's exactly what I did. Because, what seemed like the worst thing that could have ever happened to me turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. Because from that day, from November 2015 on, trading has really, really been amazing for me. And 2016 was a breakout year. And I really attribute all of that to taking that loss. That loss rocked me so hard that it literally drilled a lesson into my brain that whether I liked it or not, it was in there and it was stuck in there for good. I was so aware of what disaster actually looked like and felt like now that I had danced with it, I had my head on a swivel looking for it permanently. Not that I was scared to get back in the saddle and trade and use size, but you better believe I was ready for it. And I had much more respect for it. Mindful would be a better word. I wasn't scared of disaster, but I was much more mindful of it. And that was huge for me. I started a small trading room also after this to try and instill these lessons in other newer traders up until about 6 months ago. But that turned out to be something that had way more benefit for me than I could have ever imagined, because I had to constantly say my rules out loud. I was live streaming to these guys. So I was constantly, reaffirming my rules out loud to everyone. And, that was just further solidifying everything that I knew and preached. And without even realizing it, it was helping me so much, and it was a way to keep me accountable day in and day out. It was a great group of guys who I can now call friends. And I really enjoyed that. I probably would have never been motivated to do any of this had I not been slapped silly by reality and had my flaws as a trader, thrown right in my face. But really, adversity and hardship are the precursors to all significant growth. You have to find the positives in every negative situation that gets thrown at you in this game. That is so important, guys. It will be discouraging beyond belief sometimes. You need to spin everything as positively as possible and learn from it. Let it make you better, not bitter. Right? If it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. That was the roller coaster ride of events in my young trading career that culminated in 2015. Were they conventional? Not quite, but I wouldn't change a thing. I could talk about some of the wins too, but I think the losses offer a lot more value. And I'm sure, there's many more stops to come on that roller coaster. That's just in our job description. We're gonna have many ups and downs, but those are some defining moments for me. So I hope you enjoyed that. And now I guess I'll just recap 2016. We haven't talked much about that yet, and my goals for 2017. And we'll see how it stacks up to where I am currently, if I was actually achieving those. So in 2016, I had not grown as much as I would have liked. And by grown, I'm simply referring to my position sizes. Most positions for me in 2016 were between like 1 and 4,000 shares. Occasionally getting into the 5 to 10,000 share range towards the latter half of the year. And that was about it. And I can count on two hands the amount of times that I was over 10,000 shares. And on one hand, the amount of times it was over 20. So it was not often at all. And I'd like to get to a point where I can really, hammer the big trades when I see them with quite a bit of size. And you need a certain amount of mental capital to do that. I have confidence in myself, and I'm a pretty level-headed person. Pretty sure I can do it, but I'm just trying to take it slow because of all the horror stories, that I've heard. So that's why I never really rushed into sizing. But mentally and consistency-wise, I think I grew a ton. I got to a point where I feel, totally balanced and fully expect to be green every day. Not in a cocky way, just a confident one. When I was red, it didn't bother me because it was almost always planned. Planned in the sense that the red days are very controlled and just resulted from ideas that didn't work out. Stops were in place and adhered to, and I didn't continue to aggressively trade on those days, trying to turn them green like I would have in the past. Lull and boredom trades have become very rare now. I still do it once in a while. Everybody does. We're human, but it's much less often. I've become an avid reader to pass the time in those situations now, which has a double benefit. I'm learning new things as well. So not only am I not trading crap, I'm learning about life and how to improve myself mentally, physically outside of trading, which inadvertently, ends up helping with your trading. You just don't realize it. So in 2015, before I opened my room, I would go to the gym during the lull to avoid it. In 2016, it was books. And probably 2017 onward, it's still going to be books. So a lot of good tweaks this year. In 2016, I had an overall win rate of 76.9%. Not per trade, but days, green days. So I was green just about every 3 out of 4 days. I was pleased with that. So that was 2016. And then I guess my 2 main goals for 2017 were obviously sizing up more, trying to get to that next level. And the other one was to become more research. The two kind of go hand in hand for me, because by becoming more research oriented and advanced there, you develop a stronger edge and opinion in the trade, which in turn gives you stronger conviction on the trade, which allows you to more comfortably size into the position. And like I said, I'm a pretty calm person by nature already. I was a little too calm on the WTW day, but I think this will be a somewhat smooth transition, and I was looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm reading it word for word now, but it actually was a pretty smooth transition, I have to say. I have not taken a blow-up loss since WTW in 2015, which is a pretty good feeling. Even dries. I didn't get stuck in dries. I didn't get stuck in DCIX, none of those. So I've done well there. Basically, I want to, just follow a quote. The quote is, know what you are trading. If you don't know what you're trading, what are you even doing? You might as well put a blindfold on and go to church more if you don't fully understand the circumstances around what you're trading and why it's moving. Everyone is focused on the fact that, the stock is moving, like, great. But they don't seem to really grasp the why further than a headline of a PR. A lot of people don't dig. And I think that's extremely important to get into a habit of digging into these things and really trying to figure them out. So that was one of the things that I was striving to do more this year. And I think I've definitely been doing that. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. I have plenty more to come, so stay tuned, and we'll be back. I'm going to try and do 1 a week starting next week. So we'll be back soon. All right. Thanks, guys.